Product placement, dude, it's everywhere. From FedEx in Castaway to Mr. Potato Head in Toy Story. You've got Nike in Back to the Future and Audi in iRobot, and again, of course, in the Avengers franchise. So, today, just for balance, that one time when Hollywood got automotive product placement so impossibly right, I went involuntarily pee-pee in my trousers. Just a little bit like that much. It was that hilarious. And keep watching, because if you're exceedingly lucky, you will too. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au, and I get new cars cheap for buyers here in Australia. Website for that, obviously. Or you can just click the card that's up there now, dude. Now, with that out of the way, as you know, I do not generally agree with tacky product placement deals in quality productions such as this. But I would like to shout out briefly to my very good friends at Trefolex HD. The thick fluid sticks to the tool, which has, let's face it, real tangible benefits with long-term use. Apply liberally for enhanced tool performance and, of course, greater endurance. And who doesn't want that? Michael Bay now. He's the dude if you want to see a movie and you don't want to think too hard about it or at all while you're watching. It's just good versus evil with explosions and hotties. Dependably so. Yes. What else does there need to be in a good movie, I ask you? Everyone who's anywho is in Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon. You've got Buzz Aldrin, and let's face it, he was the first man to wear an Omega Speedmaster professional watch on the surface of the moon. Speaking of ultimate product placement. Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, she's there, world-class hottie. Leonard Nimoy, legend. JFK, dead legend, he's in there. Francis McDormand, Hugo Weaving, hashtag Australia. John Malkovich, legend. Bill O'Reilly, this is controversial, but let's face it, that was before the Me Too thing, obviously. Lady Mazzo's there too, better than world-class hottie, hashtag perfection. So, it's just good guys versus bad guys and hotties and blowing shit up for about 4 or 5 entertaining hours. It's mostly Chicago that gets blown up in this one, which is terribly confronting for your average Chicagoan, I'm certain. Total bayhem, in other words. Motion sickness inducing ninja robot battles. Yes, you've got fast cars, giant explosion, and hotties. If you're a Transformers virgin, okay, roughly 16 hours into Transformers 3, Chicago lies in ruins, essentially. The world is about to end, too, by virtue of being sucked into a newly formed Cybertron. That's bad. Shia, tomato, whatever his face is, world-class's hottie girlfriend, Rosie Huntington, whomever, has been kidnapped by evil Decepticon ninja robot bastards, one of whom is a traitor with Spock's voice. So that's quite disconcerting. But it's not looking good for humanity broadly, is what I'm saying, or Rosie Hottie Whiteley specifically. And this is easy to follow, even after several drinks. Approximately 3 more motion sickness vomits later, a particularly evil bastard Decepticon ninja robot named Soundwave has taken prisoner some of the good guy robots, humanity's friends, the Autobots, including Bumblebee, the yellow Camaro SS with whom Shia LaBeoufhead, the hero dude, has a somewhat unhealthy bromance, in my view. Not that there's anything wrong with that. This whole scene does not conform to the Geneva Convention, frankly, and that's okay because it's just a fantasy. So who really cares about the treatment of non-existent robot POWs during an entirely fictional battle to save humanity? It's like total escapism. But the juxtapositioning here it's pretty good. The scene is called No Prisoners, Only Trophies, if you want to look it up on YouTube. Anywho, Soundwave decides a bullet in the back of the head is preferable to the ongoing logistic demands of Autobot prisoner upkeep, I don't know, plugging them in when the batteries go flat or something. Like, who wants to do that? Who has time, frankly?
I understand. No prisoners, only trophies.
So, they execute a really nice old Autobot who kind of reminds me, oddly enough, of Bill Nye the Science Guy. I don't know why. It's all very poignant, though, in between motion sickness, projectile vomits.
Why did you...
And then, evil bastard Soundwave goes some way down the path of executing Bumblebee, which is absolutely not allowed, because that would ruin Transformers 4 to 6 inclusive, to the extent that they're not intrinsically ruined anyway, I guess. There's a kind of obvious 11th hour rescue in this scene, which I found very emotional, in between ongoing dry heaving from kinetosis. The product placement point being, evil bastard war criminal Decepticon Soundwave, ninja robot dude, is unequivocally a Mercedes-Benz, made in Stuttgart. Yes, maybe he's one of those counterfeit copies, which they take very seriously, I must say. I could not make this shit up, frankly, but it does seem impossibly perfect in the domain of product placement. Like, they got this one exactly right. Soundwave wears the three-pronged suppository proudly on his breast throughout the entire scene. And when he transforms, he becomes an SLS AMG, just for disambiguation. Like, in case there were ever any doubt. Bumblebee, of course, is a yellow Camaro, and his boss, Optimus Prime, is a Peterbilt prime mover. His BFFs, Ironhide and Ratchet, are a GMC Topkick and Hummer H2, respectively. Good versus evil, hotties and bayhem. Yes. This movie cost $195 million to make. It subsequently returned $1.1 billion at the box office. This is big business, okay? And therefore, given the stakes and the cost, none of these decisions on the granular detail here is taken lightly or arbitrarily. This stuff does not happen by chance. High-level executives and a bunch of lawyers from Mr. Bay's Platinum Dunes production company and, of course, Paramount Pictures would have had meetings and actually signed off on all of this detail with the clients. Like, this heart-wrenching execution scene. We want the bad guy to be the Mercedes-Benz one, and the logo stays on. Got it? Like, to me, it's a wholly credible choice. Well done, dudes. To the extent that you can say that about anything in a Transformers movie, of course. But it's a really good fit, right? At some level, in the domain of fictional good versus evil, it just works. Only not in a positive way for the three-pronged suppository. The bad guy can be a Mercedes-Benz SLS without breaking the metaphor, in the same way as the ultimate good guy is a Peterbilt truck. Transformers 3 is dripping in product placement. You've got Hasbro and Lenovo and Cisco and Apple, just to name a few off the top, and Mercedes-Benz did pay an undisclosed sum to appear. And there are plenty of three-pronged positive suppository messages jammed in there between the hotties and the inevitable bayhem. But all I can say here is, I would not be all that surprised to learn that someone really high up in the studio had quite a poor ownership experience with his S-Class. I guess the big question is, why am I bothering with this otherwise puerile report? It's kind of funny, I guess, but the point is, brands are being pushed down your throat and mine routinely, every day, multiple times. You cannot turn on the TV or even step out the front friggin' gate and avoid it. It's like wrestling with an octopus. Millions of dollars are behind this push, and the message is carefully crafted, but it's really just like this, okay? If Thor wears a Tag Heuer on leave here on Earth, it's good enough for you, dude. And if Cate Blanchett smells like Giorgio Armani, it's probably good enough for your lovely wife, right? She's certainly one of my favourite smells. Kate, not your lovely wife. I photographed her once. Kate, not your lovely wife. She's actually a very nice lady, very down to earth, which cannot frankly be said about many people who occupy that lofty altitude. So respect where it's due. And if Mr. Armani wants to throw her a shipping container full of cash to front his brand, that's quite okay with me. But product placement is actually far more insidious than this, and generally much more covert, because A-listers and premium brands are just the tip of the product placement iceberg, below the line, right? And a lot lower down, below the waterline, where the majority of the iceberg is, let's not forget, floating in the sewer, product placement infects the journalists who jump on the launch bandwagon and play the game, okay? And it's not just in cars, it's in everything, every consumer product, every brand. It's really easy to like the 5-star hotels if you're such a reviewer, and the business class flights, the platinum frequent flyer status, and the general rock star lifestyle. And all you've got to do is say nice things about the brands, right? And you get to ride along in this wave, and it never ends. It's all about cost effectiveness and return on investment for those brands. If you're a reviewer and you're prepared to say nice things, you're a cheap win. The publishers courting the ad revenue are infected as well. They're addicted to and fighting hard to retain that fat cash flow, especially in the legacy mediums of radio, TV and print. They're in the trenches, right? And the bayonets are fixed. And the tap is about to get turned off. And that's why it's so entertaining right about now. This is an ecosystem that frankly is dripping in bad incentives. The brand and its little helpers, its willing little helpers, right? And the only casualty I'd suggest is you on the receiving end of these very carefully thought out messages, many of which assault you under the radar by stealth. And it's only occasionally, when the bad guy gets spotted wearing the 3-pronged suppository before trying to execute the good guy, for example, that the curtain gets lifted and you actually get a brief glimpse of product placement for the cancer it really is. For nothing other than contrast or balance, whatever you want to call it, jokes aside, it is intensely interesting to see the brand associations and the product placements that happen organically or by some misstep, such as this one today and the one I pointed out earlier with Casio and Jeep. And if you didn't see that one, I will link to it just up there. How different it is, I'd suggest, when the underlying purpose is not simply paid for promotional spin.